Netcasts you love.
From people you trust.
This is Twit.
Bandwidth for iPad today is provided by Cachefly at CACHEFLY.com.
Coming up, Flipboard is great if you're a baby. We've got some RSS readers for the real power users.
Yeah, plus Instacast goes iCloud, iOS 5 split keyboard bug, and crowdsource artwork with Mixel.
All that and some really nice presents for the ladies and maybe a few of the men on iPad today.
iPad Today is brought to you by Ford, featuring available Sync with My Ford Touch. Sync with My Ford Touch gets you to your destination with integrated turn-by-turn directions and directional arrows displayed on screen. Check it out in the new 2012 Ford Focus and at Ford.com/technology. And by GoToMyPC. The holidays, bad weather, and sick days could keep you out of the office, but not from getting work done with your superpower. GoToMyPC.com. Visit it today for your free 45-day trial. Use the promo code iPad.
Now, this is a very strange thing.
Yes.
Because you may notice everything looks different. Everything looks different because I'm here on my day off.
That's true. We're actually, for anybody who's watching the live stream, you know that you have an extra show this week.
We do
because
this
it's
normally
Monday.
Thursday, but last Thursday was Thanksgiving Day.
That's right.
And I came here, I sat here for an hour, nothing happened.
No.
So I've come back.
I was eating a meal
Smart woman.
somewhere else.
Smart woman.
Yeah, I don't know why you didn't get the memo.
Did
your company.
Did you have a nice Thanksgiving?
Yeah, it was great.
Yeah.
MG and my mom and I went out to dinner up in Healdsburg.
Oh, that's nice.
We had
did
somebody
you go
else
to some
cook us
fancy
food.
restaurant?
We went to Madrona Manor.
Oh, that's really nice.
Yeah, it was
Really like
it was
that
quite
place.
a treat. It was unusual to
It's
not
a beautiful
be cooking.
house too. The
It's old
place is great. Did
Victorian.
you sit on the porch on the outside there, or?
Well, we sat inside. It's kind of cold.
Yeah,
but
you
they
wouldn't
do
want
have a covered area that has heating lamps
It's
and
beautiful.
everything.
I love it.
It
And
was,
just come back in the summer and sit out there.
oh yeah, it was a real treat.
It's
so.
the wine country.
It's good. What about you?
Went to my father's and had a big family Thanksgiving. Jennifer and Abby were on the East Coast. They went back to to Massachusetts, and we're going back there in Christmas. Though I'm very excited. It's so beautiful.
I saw you planned a trip it.
I did.
So I knew that you were going to Massachusetts before you even told me.
Yeah, TripIt's fun.
Yeah.
I really, you get the email from the, airplane or the hotel, and TripIt automatically, it's TripIt.com, builds it into a itinerary, and then we've talked about it on our travel show.
Yeah,
and
we
then
have.
Then it has an iPad app, but there are a lot of apps because they have an API that support TripIt, so I can check my flight availability and all of that. It's
I've been
really
playing around
great.
a little bit with GoGoBot. There's also Trippy, all sorts of sites that are, or
Does
services.
GoGoBot do the same thing?
No, TripIt is much more integrated into your itinerary than any of the other services.
I love that. GoGoBot, you do the work.
It's more
You
crowdsourced,
plan
like,
it.
hey, Leo, I'm going to
Right.
Paris. Do
Right.
you have any restaurant recommendations type of a thing? So they're all good in their own ways. But today, we were actually...
We're not talking travel.
No, we're not. Well, I mean, it might come up. But we actually thought that we would focus on a topic that we haven't actually covered at length since last summer, believe it or not, and that's RSS readers.
It's funny because since then, the drumbeat has been strung that RSS is dead.
I don't agree.
But we
at
use it all the time. I
Yeah.
think, though, what happens, RSS is what feeds this podcast. If you listen to the downloads on iTunes or the ZunePass or whatever, that's how you get it. It's from an RSS, really simple syndication feed. So it's used behind the scenes. But people, when they think of RSS, they think of Google Reader, for instance,
Right.
which is a web-based way to subscribe to the content of a lot of sites and then scan it quickly. And for people like us, that's a really useful way to get news. People do use something like RSS on the iPad all the time. We've talked about it before. Flipboard, it's not RSS, but it's similar.
Yeah, Flipboard is...
It's an aggregator.
It's funny, Tom Merritt and I were having an argument last week because he said, I just need a good RSS reader. And I was like, why don't you use Flipboard? And he said, no, I don't like... Flipboard is too... It's supposed to be all beautiful. It's like, no, I need to read a bunch of news sources. I need to know when I've
He
read
wants the
something. I want to
headlines.
star stuff. I want something. And I thought, that actually is true. There's a power user element to RSS that doesn't want something like Flipboard because Flipboard is supposed to make you forget that you're actually reading the equivalent of a bunch of feeds.
Well, the difference between Flipboard and RSS is all, besides the fact that it makes it a magazine, is also that it's not technically subscribing to RSS feeds, it's subscribing to Twitter feeds.
Right.
But, you know, it's really the same thing, except that you have this additional signal that somebody that you follow on Twitter thought this was important, whether it's editors at The Economist or Sarah Lane. Somebody thought it was important. How do you collect your news for TNT? I mean, you have to go through a lot of news to look for the stories.
I do. I have sort of my weird. My Jawbone Up just told me I wasn't exercising enough.
Oh, you turned that on, huh? I turned that one off.
I'm going to turn it off really soon because it is
I know that.
Annoying. Like I know.
It buzzes. It's
I've
an
been sitting for 3
reminder.
hours. Yeah, I have it on every 15 minutes. Bad idea.
No.
I have a lot of different ways that I comb the news. I mean, I usually fire up TechMeme before I even go any farther.
Me too. That's the first place I go.
TechMeme,
I let Gabe Rivera get the news for me.
But TechMeme has its own RSS feed, so I could.
They actually, the TechMeme River, which is in chronological order, is a great RSS feed to see what's important.
Exactly.
So you could add that to your Google Reader. You wouldn't have to visit the TechMeme site. That's the whole idea.
That's the whole idea, and that's actually I use Google Reader. I do not use Google Reader as in google.com/reader because I don't like the interface, and it has nothing to do with the new layout, although I don't like that one either. I didn't like it anyway. There are a lot of ways to use Google Reader.
The Google Reader Play feature? You could do this on your iPad in Safari. What it does is a slideshow of articles from your Google Reader. Now, it's not practical and wouldn't be useful for TNT. It's more for like sitting. It's the lean back experience for Google Reader. It's giving me a slideshow of stories that are picked on Google Reader by people or sites that I follow. Save water by converting your toilet to dual flush.
So then
with
if you see something that you like, you can click into it, right?
You can just tap it
and then
go to it.
You read the rest of the article.
Right. I think. Maybe not. Oh, here. You tap. This is the problem. People, you can turn it into a TV set, too. People use this, but they don't, you know, so there's different views of it. But Google, I don't think Google even knows it exists. I don't think they've changed it. This is one of those 20% projects that probably isn't long for this world.
Well,
So there's got to be a better way. Let's say you're a person that needs to scan. Let's say you're a person.
I am
first
a
of all.
person. Okay.
Step one.
We're one for one.
You're a person that needs to scan a bunch of websites, dozens, hundreds, thousands of websites every day, looking for the most important stories, as you might for TNT.
I absolutely do. And you know what I like even more? We've talked about Reader a little bit in the past, and we'll talk about it again in a moment because it's worth it. But I'm really into Feedly.
FEE.ly. You can do that in your browser. It's got a plug-in for all the browsers. Is there a Feedly app?
Yes, there is. And this is actually my Google Reader that's connected to Feedly. So it's really easy to set up. But
that's the other thing. That's the nice thing. If you used Google Reader ever, you have a list, and you can maintain it. And that will all the readers we're going to show you will pull from your Google Reader subscriptions. So you don't have to create new subscriptions.
No.
That's nice.
Not at all.
Yeah.
So this is actually, I would say, it's the most Flipboard-like of RSS readers because you can see that they've got a bit of a layout going on. So I can see that this Engadget article, because I obviously subscribe to Engadget.
But it's a little more business focused, like getting the job done focused.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
Feedly is... It's everything that you would want in RSS Reader. It works really well, loads up really easily. You have all your share options, as most of the readers have to have now just to be able to compete. But it also has nice little prompts based on how I've actually set up Google Reader. So like here are my main folders. I've got tech, I've got Goodreads, I've got a San Francisco-based folder, and then I have individual RSS feeds that I've subscribed to. If I want to jump over to All Things D, for example, I can just load up my All Things D feed. So Feedly actually gives you a bunch of different... Ooh, how do I get back now?
This is pretty good. Does it learn from what you do?
It's not really meant to do that the way that something like NewsMe learns from what you do.
I do like NewsMe.
I do too, because it has a little bit of that...
Right.
It knows what you want to read almost before you have chosen it based on what you've read in the past and what you've liked and not liked.
A number of things, and we've talked about these before, like SkyGrid, are supposedly, and Every, and Zeit, are supposedly smart enough to start paying attention to what you're doing. But if you do a newsreader, if you're somebody like Sarah, where you're doing a beat check, and you're going to check these sites, all the Android fan sites, all the Apple fan sites, all the Google fan sites. If you have to check those sites every day, you don't want it to be doing any artificial intelligence. You want a list of things, and you want to be able to scan it quickly. So I guess that makes sense. I'm liking Feedly. I'm looking at this. I've used it on the web.
I actually prefer it as the iPad app, although the web app, it works really well in Chrome. You can add a little Chrome extension, actually, for Feedly, where you can easily add a page to your Feedly group.
Right.
But yeah, it's a really nice iPad app. It's totally free.
I'm adding it right now.
It is the most visual of the RSS reader apps that I have ever seen that is not Flipboard. So it works more like that RSS reader that you may want.
Right.
That Flipboard just doesn't give you. But it's more of that power user type of a thing.
So when you flip, you flip through articles in a kind of a magazine style. It's pretty, but you still are getting what you want, which is the substance.
And a lot of those pictures, I mean, they would show up if you were to click into the article anyway.
Yeah.
They're just giving you a little bit of that thumbnail, so you can get a better sense of if you're going to be interested in this.
I'm interested.
In story about dogs shaking their jowls.
Split-second high-speed photographs of dogs.
That is
shaking
adorable.
See, this is why you get a newsreader.
Exactly.
It's about discovery. Now, you may say, well, my friends will tweet this, but but you've got to contribute to the tweet stream too. So, see, what I would, and all of these have this feature. I could share this now to my Twitter account.
Exactly.
And I think I actually have a links account.
Yeah, Twitter, Facebook, Instapaper. I mean, it's almost like.
Right.
You can't actually use a reader anymore that doesn't have all these.
Do you use Instapaper in this process as a way of kind of saying, okay, I'm going to read that in full, read that in full, and read that in full? Because that would be a logical second step. You're scanning the headlines. You don't want to stop and read. Because this is my problem with RSS readers in general, is I get buried, and then I never get to the third article because I stopped at the second article. So if you used Instapaper, which lets you say, save this, save this, save this as you go, then you get an Instapaper, and it's a great app on the iPad, Instapaper document with all of the stuff. The ads are stripped out. It's the facts.
I don't really use Instapaper that way. I use Instapaper more on the website when I need to close a bunch of tabs, and I've got them open because I don't want to forget stuff. But yes, I know that people do use Instapaper, and Read It Later is another Instapaper-like service that almost gives you that second. It's the second pass. You know, your first pass is your RSS reader, and then you save the stuff you want to. You blow out everything in the reader because people hate to have RSS feeds that are backing up, and then you go read Instapaper when there's stuff that you didn't get to the first time. So that's definitely something that people use in conjunction with their feeds. Now, Reader, and that's REEDER.
This is my favorite. This is the one that
it's a lot of people's favorites.
Yeah. When this came out, I think this was kind of a revolution. In terms of how you look at these. Almost all newsreaders look like Google Reader, where you have on the left, you put it right here, you'll have a list of blogs, and on the right you'll have headlines from those blogs. Here's Reader. It's kind of more like a human would do it. You put it in stacks, in piles of articles. So these are my topics. So I have on Google Reader, I have Apple, apps, Android, Google. These are security, gadgets, phones. These are all topics, right? And then, for instance, in the New York Times stack, it's all different RSS feeds from the New York Times. If I tap this, and say, by the way, all of these can get a little slow when they're first updating because they have to download hundreds of articles all at once. So that's maybe another reason people don't like newsreaders as much as, say, Flipboard. So here on the left, now we're in kind of an interface you might recognize where there's the kind of article synopsis on the left. And now this is one thing that bugs me. The Times, like many blogs, does not put full text in there. So you only get a summary of the article, even in this article pane.
Yeah, because they don't even do that in their own app. You got to pay for it.
They don't want, exactly. They don't want you to get it for free. But Reader, like many others, you see it puts another little arrow there, and I can actually load it up without leaving for Safari in a web browser, and now I can get the full thing. I think that's an unfortunate necessary step, but remember the New York Times wants you to see these ads, so they don't want to put it in their RSS feed, which is ad
I actually stopped following any feed that doesn't give me the full. If you do RSS snippets, you're not in my reader.
I agree. I think everybody should do full text.
Because it's I understand that companies, it just doesn't work for their flow. I get it. But I don't want it to be part of my flow. Right. You know, when I have to click in.
They want their ad revenue. Here's the sharing feature on this, and you can customize Reader. But you see, I have delicious pinboards, Zoo Tool, Instapaper, Read It Later, Readability, Evernote, Twitter, anything you'd ever want is here. You can customize this so you don't have it. And then you see this little armchair. That's my save it to readability, boom, like that, and now I'll be able to read that. So you can do the same thing with Instapaper. Very nice to have a button. These are very customizable, by the way. The interface, it seems a little inscrutable. You see these icons here?
It doesn't work the way other readers do. There's a little bit of a learning curve, and some people
have to learn what they mean.
They're bothered by Reader, how it's very.
Right.
It kind of has an Apple type of a feel to it.
And I kind of like that because it's minimalist, and so it does get out of the way of itself, which is kind of what you want with a reader. Here's my tech news folder. So there's 100 different tech news sources here, and by going through this every day, I can find stories for Twit and This Week in Google and all the shows that I end up doing. And so this is a very fast way to find all of this.
It's a very robust but minimalist looking reader. Now, Reader,
it's not what I use,
unlike
by the way.
Feedly's free. Reader is $5, $4.99 in the App Store.
We're not going to show the one I actually use all the time because we've showed it before. It's called River of News, and we wanted to leave that out because I have recommended that before. This, to me, is admittedly, it's exactly what I was saying. This is that Google Reader, only kind of on an iPad. But the reason I like it, and you'll see it's fast. That's very important.
I let the record show that we are now talking about River of News.
This is not Reader anymore. But see how it becomes a river here. This, to me, is a more intuitive way to do it than if I go back to Reader, which is probably our pick. I mean, I think this is the one that most people like the best. It's not quite, you scroll through these headlines, but then, it's a little slow to go through each story.
Honestly, I feel like they look pretty much exactly the same.
I know.
They're just wrapped in different graphics.
Different wrapping. And it's this thing that really makes people, I think, like Reader, is this stack of documents.
Well, and that it'll hook up to pretty much any other third-party service you could even think of.
You saw the service.
Yeah, so that's helpful.
That was very great.
Another option, because I thought, well, should we talk about the fact that you can just access Google Reader through Safari? Because Google Reader is just the ugliest thing in the world.
But Google's made it pretty good on Safari. I mean, they've designed it for web browsing.
But you know what's even better?
What?
Is we talked about last week the Google Search app, which has been updated.
Oh, they have their
The Google Search app has all of a sudden made it so easy because remember I called it like it's the Chromebook within an app.
They are pointing out, by the way, that Reader, R-E-E-D-E-R, is also available as a Mac app, and I also use it on the Mac.
That's true. Yeah, good point.
$10 on the Mac app.
So you can access Google Reader through Safari, but if you open up the Google Search app, we talked about this
Does it look
last
better
week.
this way?
Well, it looks about the same.
It's because it's WebKit rendering. This is the same as Safari.
Yeah, so this is anyone who uses Google Reader knows that this is what it looks like from a mobile device.
I don't like that. I can't
I'm not crazy about it. I just, well, there's a lot of things.
It's a waste of space.
There's a lot of things about Google products that I'm not real crazy about. However, if you are a Google Power user and you use a lot of the apps that are easy to access through the Google app, I would say definitely choose this over Safari. I would, not only for Reader, but also Google+.
Because you never leave the environment.
Yeah, so you've kind of just got all your Google products here. If you use photos, if you upload a lot of YouTube videos, or you read a lot of Google News, which a lot of people do. I access docs. We're using a Google Doc right now to get through the show. So yeah, I think that if you were to use Google Reader and you just didn't like any of the other options that we were giving you, I would suggest going through the Google Search app, which of course is free.
Right.
It just I don't know. It just looks better. It's made more for Google stuff than Safari is.
This is another one that people seem to like an awful lot. It's called News Rack, and I like the name. This is one where you don't have to use Google Reader, right?
Yes.
Everything else you need a Google Reader account for.
Yes, you're right.
But if you look at it, I am using Google Reader. It looks just like Google Reader. Same exact folders here. These are the sources. Now, in Google Reader, it shows, unlike, say, Reader with 2 E's, it shows you all of the sources, as I'm seeing here. And so you can read by source, or you could just read up at the top. It says unread, and you'll read unread. 1001, 1002, 1003. You see, this is the biggest problem, I think, with RSS readers in general, is they're a little bit slow as you wait for the content to come in. It's not too bad. But so now you can see, very much like any other reader. Same idea. We've got buttons up at the top that let us do various things. That means it's read. That means it's a favorite. That's a Google Reader star. And then we have the sharing, including email, Instapaper, Read It Later, Twitter, Delicious, Facebook, and share it on Google Reader. So it's very Google Reader-y.
But you can follow feeds. You can enter the feed without it being part of your Google Reader experience. Let's say, I don't know, you're anti-Google, or for whatever reason you want to be able to procure your own news experience and just not feel like you're just using some sort of a third-party app that is dependent on Google Reader for whatever reason. Newsrack would be a really good choice.
And there are lots of other choices, like we mentioned Pulse before. That's a great app that doesn't use Google. Actually, it does now use Google Reader. This is, by the way, a completely wasteful, useless feature. However, it's there. This is a slideshow feature that is built into Newsrack. I mean, I guess.
Well,
it's cool.
Is it? How is it much different than what you showed off?
Well, you can't even
Reader
navigate.
Within Safari?
At least Reader within Safari, I can go to the next article.
Oh, you can't click in? Well, don't. Here, just click. Oh, that is dumb.
Well, maybe if I click down here, I can get the article. There you go.
Okay.
So it pulls me out of the internet.
Oh, there's drama in Twitterland, is there?
Oh, what a surprise.
These guys are so dramatic.
TechCrunch.
Finally, Feedler, which is something that you suggested to me. I've never even heard of. It's spelled sort of weird. It's Feed, Feeddler. So it's sort of a silly
There's something
spelling.
about doubling letters in news feeders that they just like to do.
Well, I think Feedler's probably just taken by somebody else.
Probably. This is by a Chinese fella. There's a free version that has ads. There's a $4.99 paid version. It's very similar. Same idea. I think what you have to do. I wish there were a way to demo or try these without paying for them. There is for this one because they have a ad-supported one. Mm-hmm. They're always going to have the Google Reader, star, heart, red.
Yeah, stuff where you can find it later.
Commenting.
You can make a
share
note.
with a note. This is all Google Reader features. What you really care about, at least what I care about, is what are these sharing features over here. This is kind of interesting. Copy link, copy title, copy article. That I haven't seen anywhere else.
I haven't either. Why would you want to copy the whole article?
Well, let's say I want to email you just the text. I could do that.
Okay.
Right?
Oh, I see.
So I can email a link, or I can email you the entire text of it, which sometimes you do want to do. I think this is interesting. If I press the full text button, well, that didn't work on that one. Let's pick a different article here. Here we go. Now I'll press the full text button. And what am I getting here?
Are you sure you're not scrolled down at the bottom?
What am I getting here?
What are you getting?
It's doing something strange with full text. Isn't that interesting? So maybe that's a bug. This is the web-based version of the article.
That seems like that's what full text should have given you.
That's what I would have expected. Here's the ads. Not too bad, but I usually pay
I'd pay.
Yeah. But the whole idea is, and I wish everybody would do this, hey, give me a free version so I can try before I buy. So I just make sure that you're going to have the features that I want. Almost all of these will allow you not only to pull in your subscription from Google Reader, but I think it's also important that you be able to manage your Google Reader subscription from within these apps so you don't have to go back to Google Reader. Mm-hmm. This will do that. You see, it also has some interesting additional features. There's a night mode, so it'll flip it to black screen. And I like this. You can cache loaded items, and you can batch sync, which means I can take this on the airplane. This is one problem for a number of these, is if you're not online, you're not going to be able to read. Right.
Yeah, because it's playing in real time.
That's true of Flipboard and a lot of these, Pulse. So this is nice because you can say, no, cache all of these articles. I'm going to read them. And that way you don't have to know ahead of time if you want the full article. You just have them in your iPad.
Yeah, you'd only want to do that once in a while.
This is a brand new one, and a lot of people are very interested in this. Again, it's called, it's a little weird, Feedder.
L-E-R. Feedler with two D's. They all kind of have silly names. Yeah. Feedly, Newsrack.
People
Reader.
say RSS is dead, and it is for people. For some people who just have been overwhelmed, I think it's dead of its own success because people get overwhelmed, but there's so much content on the net. But if you need to read, if you need to scan, this is the best way to do it, and there are some very good choices.
Yeah,
iPad becomes a very good tool for that.
Pro consumers of a lot of different reading destinations know that RSS is certainly not dead. I think it's less about RSS dying and more about the people who never understood it to begin with now have other options.
They still don't get it.
And don't need to learn what RSS is or why, what that little subscription button is and what do I do with it? I'll just play with Flipboard because it kind of seems the same. So you have a bunch of options. We have Feedly, we have Reader, Google Reader, access to a variety of ways, Newsrack, and Feedler Pro, which also has a free option. So All the links that we just mentioned, you know where to go, but I will remind you anyway. twit.tv/IPT. Not only are all of our show archives there, but all of our show notes are there. So all of the links to all of these apps are all there. You don't have to worry about writing anything down or following along during the show. You just sit back and enjoy. And then you go read our show notes after the fact. And of course, you can catch up on episode 73, for example. We had a bunch of Black Friday apps, which some of those will actually apply to the rest of the holiday season.
Shopping applies all year long.
It certainly does.
It does indeed.
In fact, my app cap later in the show will illustrate a wonderful app to buy your special lady something nice.
I love this. I'm very excited about this because I'm a member.
Well, but I changed my app cap since we talked about it last.
Oh,
so
I'm not a member of whatever you changed it
no,
to.
I really doubt you're a member of the store. But just a reminder that we are...
it's not the Latex Club anymore?
No.
Oh.
Yeah, I changed it.
All right.
11th hour. Anybody who's watching the live feed knows that we're taping this at a funny time, but we normally tape at 1:30 p.m. Pacific on Thursdays. That's 4:30 Eastern. And what, GMT? UTC?
Oh, now you threw me.
You always do this.
21:30.
There you go, 21:30. And if you have app ideas of your own, we always like to get your feedback and feature as many of your ideas as possible. You can always shoot us an email at iPadtoday@twit.tv.
Chat room is saying there's a cool kids RSS program called Stamped. I'd never tried it. I will try it, and I will get back to you.
You know, I've actually been testing Stamped in beta. I didn't realize it was public.
It's iPhone only right now.
Uh-huh. Okay.
Is that the right one? Maybe it's not the right one. I don't.
Yeah, no, that's right. I didn't realize it was public.
All right.
I must have gone public recently. Cool. Yeah, Stamped is awesome.
November 18th.
Oh, okay.
But it's in travel, not in RSS. Is it a travel app? It is. This is something different.
It's not necessarily
recommendation
travel. Yeah, it's a little bit somewhere between Oink and Tiny Review, and there's a lot of those now.
Yeah.
There's a lot of those. Stamped has a really nice interface, though.
All right.
We'll talk about them in a future show.
Let me talk about the holiday season. It's here.
Yes.
And bad weather, snow back east, thunderstorms, the holidays, even, because of the cold and flu season, just sick days could keep you out of the office, but they don't have to keep you from getting work done. Some of us need to work even if we're not in the office, and that's where GoToMyPC is fantastic. If you're going home for the holidays, you don't want to come back to an inbox with thousands of messages in it. Just a couple of minutes every day with GoToMyPC, you can clear that inbox. You could send and receive email, run any program, access any network resource on your office computer, anywhere you go if you can get online, on your laptop, on your desktop, and best of all for us, on your iPad. So you take your iPad with you, that's all you need, and you can access your Mac or your PC and get work done. GoToMyPC from Citrix. It's absolutely the fastest, easiest way to get remote access to your office computer. And it's something about using a Windows machine or a Mac on an iPad that's just mind-blowing. The relatives will be shocked. Visit GoToMyPC right now. Click the Try It Free button, and we've got a special holiday offer for you. We know the holiday season seems to go on and on, so we're going to give you 45 days. It says 30 there, but as soon as you enter the promo code iPad, it will magically change to 45.
Woohoo!
I hope. Go. That's what they're telling me. Go to mypc.com. Click the Try It Free button. It turned as red as Chad's hair. Go to mypc.com. Click the Try It Free button.
You do have to enter your name.
And yes, you have to fill out some other thing. And you'll get 45 days. That's going to get you right into 2012. Isn't that awesome? Go to mypc.com. Try it today. We love it, and I know you will too.
So NYTimes app, we mumble and grumble about this app because you download it for free, but you don't really have access to much besides top news unless you pay your, what is it, $20 a month?
Well, I'm a subscriber, so I get the paper.
Yeah,
I get just the Sunday paper. So yeah, I don't know what it is, $20 a month.
It's $20 a month, but for the iPad and unlimited web access. But if you want it on your iPhone or Android, it's like $35. It's so much more. You think if I'm getting it on my iPad anyway, you wouldn't just give it to me in my iPhone?
On the Kindle Fire, same thing. You actually have to pay for it. Even if you have a print subscription on the Kindle Fire, you have to pay for a Kindle subscription at the Times.
Yeah, so I kind of have an issue with the Times for that reason, because not only do you have to pay, but there's also, it is ad supported.
I love the New York Times.
I do too.
And, this Sunday they did a really interesting front page story on how little inheritance tax a very, very wealthy fellow's family was paying because of all the tax loopholes. And I don't see bloggers filling that gap. I think you have to have not a newspaper, but you have to have some sort of journalistic entity with cash coming in to do really good investigative reporting, and I think it needs to be done. And so I'm torn. I want the New York Times to persist, and other great papers, the Washington Post. I want them to exist. But it does feel a little greedy when you see an app and you pay for it, and then you get ads.
And then you get ads. It is. I think that it is cost prohibitive for a lot of people. But if you are using the New York Times app, they have made some improvements.
It's got video for one thing, which is awesome.
It's got video. It used to have Facebook sharing that then they stripped out. Facebook sharing is back now. It's right in your settings area.
Look at this. I'm reading. This is what a newspaper should be. You're reading an article, and then you got the person that the article's about. I mean, I think that that's kind of neat. By the way, notice this. We've got built-in AirPlay, rather. So if you had an Apple TV, we watch all of this on our. I actually love all of my multimedia apps. I always sit on the couch and AirPlay everything to the TV because a lot of times the quality is really great. Again, Facebook sharing has been added back. So if you go into your settings area, which I'm in on my iPad over here. Log in on your Facebook.
Yeah, you can log in on Facebook. So that's, it's easy for sharing. Now, of course, that's great for New York Times because they want to be like the Washington Post, where that's all people do is read stories on the Washington Post and share with each other. But there's also another, seems like a minor feature, but it's actually really helpful because New York Times has a bunch of different sections, right? And some of the sections are kind of New York based and they've never really applied to me. Like a lot of the weddings and celebrations or, like East Coast stuff.
We like reading those.
Yeah, a lot of
I like to keep up on Muffy and Biff, see what's happening.
Right. A lot of the art happenings, going ons are New York based, so I'm not so interested in that. So, but let's say I'm interested in dining and wine, which I am. That's something that I'd love to read about. Well, I don't want to have to go all the way down every time I do this. So there's now a new reorder feature. So by default, top news, and then it goes most emailed. I actually already moved technology up a little bit. But if I wanted to move my dining and wine up, I just go ahead and click and hold, and then I can go ahead and have my little guilty pleasure right before I read my tech, but after my top news. You say done, and then there it is. So it's just, you're browsing along, you're doing whatever, and then I can go straight into dining and wine. It just makes a well-made app, and this app is, it's not free. A lot of people are not going to want to pay for it, but it's a really nice app.
It's pretty gorgeous.
It's done well,
There's one other
and
thing
I like little
about
tricks like this.
With the new notifications in iOS 5, that's become my news notifier. So I get news headlines coming in. I do too. And that's the one I use, and I think that even
do you
on my
do
iPhone,
alerts or do you banners?
I have the little banners at the top. I don't want it to take over the page, but I have the little so they come and they rotate in, and I like that. I think that that's really nice. I can keep up on big stories that way.
I actually have alerts, which are the big guys, for breaking news.
Right.
Because it's usually something I'm just going to want to know about.
The CNN breaking news or the New York Times?
New York Times.
You use the New York Times. Yeah, I do too. I like it now. Yep.
All right, we've got a duh tip from I forget. Hopefully, he'll say it in his video here. So this is actually something that he just provided the duh tip. But I think I will preface this with saying you may be sending a lot of holiday emails to people. Families are global now. Maybe you have family members who you might need to write in another language or use certain characters that you don't use all the time, and this duh tip might help you.
Hey Leo and Sarah, I have a duh tip for you. Have you ever wondered where the cent sign is on the iPad keyboard?
Yes.
We have the dollar sign here and some other foreign currencies, but not cents. Well, if you press and hold the dollar sign, a second window pops up that gives similar choices. Just move your finger over the character you want. This works with punctuation and letters and is an easy way to access characters from foreign keyboards without having to add it from your settings. So say, there, and also,
or Espanol.
You want to type in something like Uber.
Ooh, a little umlaut.
Simple as that.
Uber.
Love the show. Bye.
Bye.
That's a good tip.
I know. We knew that about if you hover over .com, for example, it'll give like .org, .net.
Right.
But I didn't realize how many letters this actually applies to. I spent some time.
Everything has
pretty much everything.
Extra diacritical.
Yeah.
This has been something that was actually on the iPhone originally. It was a way to put all and the reason I know that is because my E in Leo if you do it right, has a little accent over it. And so I learned that early on. In fact, anytime I get a device, I try to figure out how can I make that sound. And so it's been in the iPhone for a long time, but I think most people don't know it. It's very handy. Keep holding that key down and you see what something happens.
Do you know that I'm about to admit something really embarrassing?
You're kidding.
Yes.
I've been wondering if you were going to talk about this.
This is another dot tip that over the weekend, MG was looking over my shoulder because I was typing something on my iPad, and he goes, why aren't you double spacing? And I said, double space? What are you talking about? Like the old way of typing?
Yeah.
Double space. Nobody does that because
puts a period
double spacing puts in a period. And he said, you are not serious. That's like one of the coolest things from iOS from way back in the day. I had no idea.
Can I tell you where it's from?
Where?
BlackBerry.
It is?
It goes back to BlackBerry. So Apple did not invent that. You could tell MG that. You can tell Mr. Apple, boy.
I will.
That came from BlackBerry, baby.
Now, this is something that if for whatever reason you say, I like double spaces between my sentences because I'm old school
That's
AP
really
English.
old school. Well, you know, when I used to type on a typewriter, you probably don't remember those, but there were these mechanical devices.
You
hit them really hard, they put it on a piece. Chung, chung, chung. I would always go, period, space, space, and the next sentence.
Well, we used to have to do that in school.
Yeah.
You had to do two spaces. That was the way it went.
But because everything was monospaced in those days, because typewriters could only do monospacing. I think now with computer typography, it's not as important.
No, in fact, I think most styles do not encourage that. The way that they don't encourage even indenting the first, word of a paragraph.
It's all changed. You know, my son. I had a big fight with my son's 4th grade teacher because she sent a paper back because he didn't indent the first few, few
and he's
spaces
probably
of
like,
a paragraph.
You never even taught me that.
And I said to him, you know what, nobody does that anymore, but go ahead and do it for her. Because that's old school, baby.
It's old school. Trends change.
Nobody does that.
By the way, if you, for whatever reason, are like, wait, if I do the double space, I don't get a period, or I don't like that, if you go into general settings.
Well, you could change that?
Keyboard, well, you just toggle it on and off. See,
I didn't know
the
that.
dot shortcut, it's on for me right now. You can turn it off. You've got a few other, spelling check and auto correction. If you make a lot of autocorrect mistakes and embarrass yourself,
it's nice
you can always turn that off.
You know, I've always used text expander, but it's nice that they've actually built that in the OS now, I think. Yeah.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Got a tweet. This was in reference to last week when we had the gentleman from Canada say, I didn't get any refurb offers when I went into a store in Canada. They didn't know what I was talking about. And we said, well, gosh, is it U.S. only? We're not really sure. And Doug Eel on Twitter said that let me open up this tweet. He was able to, he says, referencing the Canada viewer, I had an iPhone 3G replaced for $180 in Australia.
So they did do that.
Yeah.
Interesting. I think it is discretionary, perhaps.
iPhone 3G for $180.
That's a lot.
Seems high.
I believe you can get them for free if you're signing up for a new account or whatever.
It's very true. Very true. But it's nice to know that it's not just like you have to be in the U.S. to get refurb stuff. We also had a few people email us because you had mentioned, listen, it's all about kind of your attitude also.
Yes.
The Apple Store employees,
they have a lot of
especially at the
discretion.
Genius Bar, they have a lot of power, and your approach really matters. And we had a lot of people write in to say, oh, it's so true. I mean, we had specific instances where we really shouldn't have gotten a replacement, where there was water damage, or we smashed our own screens, and because we felt like we went at them the right way.
Right.
They were able to help us.
Be apologetic. Say, I know, I'm wrong.
Tell them how bad you feel, how stupid you are.
Oh, I feel like such... It's the same thing, by the way, at an ice cream store. What's that ice cream store you like in San Francisco?
Smitten.
You go to Smitten, you get an ice cream cone, you walk out the door. If the ice cream falls off the cone, they're not obligated to give you an extra scoop. But if you're nice about it, you burst into tears, you say, I lost my ice cream, they will give you a new scoop.
Yeah, because they want me to get the heck out of there. Because I'm embarrassed.
Have you ever experienced that? You've experienced that, right? If you drop the ice cream cone, they don't have to give you a new one. But a nice store, and if you're nice about it, they will give you a new one.
Yeah.
It's exactly the same, except instead of a 50-cent scoop of ice cream, we're talking a $400 phone. Other than that, it's exactly the same.
Moral of the story, be nice.
Be nice.
And people will be nice back.
Nice,
a smile gets a
twice.
smile. Got an email from Mark Bolton in Hastings, England, who says, hey, that podcasting app, Instacast, which we've talked about in the past, but I no longer recommend because it doesn't have a native iPad app the way Downcast does.
I love Downcast.
He says is now available on the iPad, but It's also complete with iCloud Sync.
Oh,
that's new.
Different. And that is a very
Downcast doesn't have that.
So if you download it to your iPad, it will sync to the cloud, and now you'll have it on all your devices.
That's right. So
like
podcasts, everything.
Okay.
That is something that, as far as I know, Instacast is first on. So thank you, Mark. Downcast, if you look at in the App Store, in their latest release, they say we're working on an iPad app. So it's definitely something.
I think they have one now. Don't they? I thought I'd use one.
I'm sorry, not iPad app, iCloud.
iCloud. Oh, thank you.
Yeah.
I was going to say.
They do have an iPad app because I use it all the time.
Now, there's probably two schools of thoughts on this. Do you like the sound effects or do you not like the sound effects?
I like them.
It is the silliest app ever. It's worth downloading just to hear all the noises it makes.
I like the rustling when it downloads new episodes.
It's the strangest thing. I guess I mean, I think there's some people who probably would drive them crazy.
Well, it's better than the oink sound effect.
I turned David Prager's. I asked, by the way, Kevin, if that is Prager in Oink. The Oink app. It goes when and that is David Prager.
Oh, I know.
He says that's
that was Downcast.
You heard it. You heard it.
Yeah.
It makes all these crazy sounds.
I don't mind them because they're pretty. It's not like it's going to play a song behind a podcast.
I think the only thing is that I didn't expect it, and so when
so you got confused.
I said, "What? Why? What was that page turn?" There's other ones I can't make them now, but there's other sounds it makes. It's a very noisy app, but it's you're listening to podcasts, so why not make it noisy? Zip, did you hear that?
I did.
I don't know
I
what
like
that
that
means.
one. No, it sounds robotic. It's good stuff.
Yeah.
Got another email from Baron Eric Pearson.
Ooh,
yeah.
He's a nobleman.
I guess so. He says, I love the new split keyboard of iOS 5, but I've come upon a problem.
Yeah.
When you get down to the bottom of the page, the text is hidden behind the keyboard, and you can't scroll.
Right.
If you merge the keyboard back to normal view, it pushes the text back up.
Right.
Do you know of a way to keep the text visible and keep that keyboard split? Okay, so I actually don't use the split keyboard because I like it, but it's kind of crazy. So just for showing off purposes, what I've done is I've made a bunch of text go all the way down a screen. This is in Elements, which is a text reader. So let's say I want to type something. I've got my split keyboard here. And the whole point of this, by the way, for anybody who's not using a split keyboard is a lot of people, if they're typing, this actually mimics, if I'm typing my name, more of the way that you would use a keyboard in real life because it just feels more natural.
I have to say, I think it's intended for a vertical orientation, though, because then you can hold it and type like this.
I can hold it the other way, too.
Yeah, but I think, see, now you can hold it. It seems more sensible. But maybe, I mean, of course you can because it's over on the edge.
There is more of a space, so it's a little bit weird, which is why I don't use it, and I kind of prefer landscape mode in general. But as you can see, what Baron mentioned is very true. Half of my stuff is hidden under the keyboard. Now I can make the keyboard go away, but it still has the same problem. Now if you switch back to, and by the way, you can switch by pressing and holding that little keyboard in the bottom right-hand side. So I go ahead and said dock and merge. Now I'm suddenly at the bottom of all of my text again.
I think that's a bug. I don't think it should do that.
I do too, because why would anyone ever...
Can you move the key? You can move the keyboard around. Or the text moves around.
But you
can
can't
you move
really...
the keyboard around?
No.
Yeah, so it's hidden.
Yeah, I think it's a weird bug. I think, gosh, I don't know what I would suggest really. If you really like that split keyboard, I think you kind of just have to
live with it.
Well, just
you can see why they didn't do it.
When you're done,
you can see why they didn't do it because they can't slide it above the split keyboard. It's halfway down the screen. It wouldn't make sense.
But see, look at here's the regular keyboard, right?
It's eating up that whole bottom third.
Yeah, it's big, and if you say, okay, let's go split,
right.
I don't really understand why it has to get moved up. Why doesn't it just still stay at the bottom with all my text above it?
Because you're holding it like this.
I guess that's true.
So you're holding it in your hands.
So it's not a bug. It's just unfortunate side effect of
how it works.
How it works.
Now, how do you move the keyboard? Because if you hold the Option button down, it says, and you can scroll the keyboard up and down. So.
Oh, really?
Yeah. So pull up the keyboard again. With your thumb, while you're typing, hold the Option button.
What's my Option button?
I think it's the keyboard.
Yeah.
And then can you slide it up and down?
No. You can only dock and merge.
Once docked, press and hold the dock button in split mode and drag it up and down.
Yeah.
What's the... once docked, press and hold the dock button in split mode.
Press and hold the dock button in split mode.
Yeah. Now, go up and down? I don't know.
No. Well, I could undock it.
You
well,
can
that's
move the
dumb.
split keyboard around with the horizontal lines on the right side. All right. We're learning as we're doing here, kids. Look at this. Watch this. Go back to split.
Okay.
See that line on the right? No.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Oh. Well, you can only go down so far.
Yeah,
but you definitely do have some
I don't think this
power.
fixes the bug, but I guess it does.
Well, this isn't really a bug. Look, they've thought about this.
Yeah.
You just have your choice.
Yeah.
But if you want it to not cover anything, you've got to dock it. That's the solution. But you do have choices. Wow, I'd never even noticed that.
I didn't, isn't that funny? I didn't either.
I didn't even notice that.
That's kind of interesting. Yeah.
Yeah, that's good stuff.
Wow. You guys are smart. Thank you, chat room, for getting
Thank you, chat room.
that little trip.
You're the best.
You're the best.
Well, now I can't even do it again.
Yeah.
It takes a little practice.
All right.
Reminder that we'd love hearing from you. iPadtoday@twit.tv is our email address. Send us a voicemail. Haven't played any of those in a while. A few really long ones, so try to keep it to 30 seconds or less. The Google Voice number is 757-504-IPAD or 4723. Or for extra points, you can send us a video. We love playing your videos, questions, comments, ideas, tips, anything. Just upload the video somewhere and send us the link.
I've been playing, the chat room mentioned as we were talking about readers, with something they mentioned, News 360. I think this might be my app kept next week. It's very interesting. It looks at your social accounts, Google+, Twitter, Facebook.
What is flying in the background of it?
Those are some images from my interests. These are interests collated from those sites, and now I can add them. So there's local interests. Here's the schools I went to, the places I worked, gadgets I'm interested in. So and you can add additional categories if you want. But this is just taken from my Facebook and Twitter and Google+. I like it that it uses Google+. And now it's generating what would be very similar to a Feedler account, a Google Reader account, but based on my social graph. So this is kind of Google Reader meets Flipboard. It's Flipboard in a more Google Reader format. That's a 360, and I think that's kind of an interesting choice. So I might make that. I won't make it my pick this week, but I do thank the chat room for that. I'm going to play with this News 360, and I'll let you know.
Please do.
It actually looks pretty good. Looks pretty good, I have to say. Yeah. Hey, let's move on though, because we want to get our app caps.
That's true. Oh, Liz is off on Monday, and we didn't get our app caps ahead of time.
Oh, John, would you pick us two? Oh, he's already done it.
Oh, we do?
He's going like this.
Oh my gosh, they're so ahead of us. It's not even funny.
Don't dare.
I like mine. Mine's gonna be awesome.
But I would like to talk about something near and dear to my heart. We were talking about my Ford Mustang.
We were.
Yeah, love it. Now, I got to say, I have GPS in another one of my fleet of vehicles from another manufacturer, and it does not work so good. Have you used GPS? There are big differences in GPS devices, and I'm always talking about Ford Sync, how I can talk to my car, get it to play music, call people. I keep my hands on the wheel because the button's right there on the steering wheel. My eyes on the road. I'm safety conscious, very conscious about paying attention to what's going on, and yet I still can do all those things with my voice alone. I even can get voice directions with the Sync. But if you get Sync with my Ford Touch, you get the big screen, you get the two little screens, you get arrows telling you which way to go on the little screens behind the steering wheel. It is the best GPS anywhere. Now, even better, 40 million businesses are in its database. So you don't have to say the street address or the city. You just say the business name. It knows directions. It knows the phone number. You could say call a business by name, and it's got all that information. You can, if you use Google or MapQuest, Google Maps or MapQuest on your computer, you can have it sent to the car via your they call it the Sync Traffic Directions and Information Systems account. You have a web-based account. So you could save them online and then send them to your car. The online site will send your phone text messages if there's traffic problems along your planned route. It's just really cool how Ford has integrated modern technology into their vehicles. It is truly a 21st century company, and I want you to take a look at all the technology. If you go to Ford.com/technology, you've seen it there. Better yet, go to your Ford dealer. I get emails now and tweets almost every day from somebody who said, I would never have considered a Ford till Leo started talking about it. I bought a Ford, and these are great cars. Great fit, finish, reliability, durability, performance, power, and most important, the best tech anywhere. Ford.com/technology. Drive one today. You're going to love it. That 2012 Ford Focus is the next car on my list. I want the electric Focus. I want to be a good person.
Well, you're getting one.
I'm on the list. I don't know when it's going to come.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
Because there's high demand. everyone else wants to
I don't
have
think
a
they're
cool
out
car
yet.
too.
I think March. So did you get? Are there 2 hats over there? You're just going to share?
There's only one. Maybe they put another one over your shoulder.
How did he do that, Pard?
Well,
you are
howdy.
good.
Yeah.
Well, Lieutenant, you start, and I'll do mine in a moment.
Okay, Leo. So this is my app cap. I actually changed it at the last minute because the app cap that I was so excited to talk about, I realized I talked about that last July.
What?
I had
Really?
forgotten. I have
The Fab. I thought you did.
I have senior moments quite often now. But the reason that I wanted to
all
talk
that
about
gray
Fab,
hair.
it's right.
Oh, I'm
exactly.
sorry. That's your hat.
Yeah. No, there's gray hair under here too.
Shocking.
I went gray early. It's hereditary.
I like it.
So Fab, the reason I wanted to talk about it is because they have a lot of interesting, I say gifts. It doesn't have to be a gift. You can buy anything on Fab for yourself.
Right.
And there's sort of like a daily deal, kind of a Groupon type of a feel to it, or like a guilt group. But it just, 'tis the season. Everybody's trying to buy gifts for other people, and you don't know what to get, and you probably know somebody who has it all, and Fab is really good for that. But we have already talked about it in the past, so I thought, okay, well, since I was already thinking about what to get for somebody that you care about that they would really appreciate, I immediately went over to Anthropology, which has an iPad app that is better than just your standard shopping catalog, where a lot of they're larger retailers, and Anthropology is one of those. They're in most major cities. They might be in yours. And it's a beautiful store, and mostly women's clothing and accessories, but they have a lot of home furnishings and candles and things like that. But their iPad app is really beautiful. So they not only do have their latest catalog, which is obviously, you know, it's the same thing as, it's almost like getting the newspaper or the digital
Do
newspaper.
you shop there? Because Abby loves
Oh,
Anthropology.
yeah. I rarely actually go down to the store because it's in Union Square, and it's
very hip.
It's a hassle.
Crowded. And, yeah.
But their stuff is beautiful. Their catalog,
love their catalog,
is gorgeous,
yeah.
and they kind of have these neat things where it's like you have on the model here you have you can press certain areas of the picture. So if we go back to, you know, I go ahead and say, ooh, I like maybe those earrings that she's wearing. Then I can see her earrings. And you get different views. You can zoom in on the photo itself. You get your sizes. So this is kind of the standard, what you would expect a digital catalog to be. Of course, you can like things or share things with people or email things. I don't know how many pieces of jewelry that I'm going to email somebody based on the Anthropology app, but it's there. But they also have this nice little area called Sorts and Kinds, tidy batches of our favorite things. And I actually like this better because it doesn't actually look like a catalog. It's almost like a curated, here are maybe some things that you'd like to wear together.
It's like a Tumblr almost. It's like, yeah, that's really neat.
Right, exactly. And you can actually add pictures if there was maybe a photo of
something that you like.
Yeah, that you. Well, this is
put in
really,
there.
really weird.
That's all right. Put your cats.
Those are my mom's cats.
Of course.
I have a lot of cat pictures at the ready.
It's not an iPad today without a cat picture.
That's right.
Let's just put it that way.
But this is actually a shirt that I just, you know, I searched through. It's like I didn't have to find it in a catalog. It was actually it was part of a little collection of like some of their, I don't know, new releases, this sort of thing, where it's like, I swear, pretty much every one of my friends would love that shirt. And you can browse a different way. You can go ahead and shop the page that this stuff is on if you want to go back to the normal catalog view. But I really like this app. It's completely free, obviously. Anything that you buy. Anthropology is not known for being the most affordable of stuff. That's why I feel like this is really good gift browsing rather than like, oh, I need a new outfit. I'll just go to Anthropology because like that shirt I like so much is almost $200. But if you're into a splurge, you know somebody who likes the style, it's definitely a great iPad app to have. Or if you're going to be around a family member for the holidays, they don't care about tech, they don't care about iPads, but they like things like this. This is like a good wow.
This sells an iPad.
It's a wow app for people if you want to convince them that there's a lot of stuff that they would actually like.
Well, what I like also is that, and I'm really, we're starting to see this, is second-generation apps that start to take advantage of the medium. And at first, the first catalogs were just catalogs on the iPad screen. This really uses touch. It uses the screen. It's gorgeous. It's fun, and yet it's a good shopping app as well. And I think that this is you're starting to see second-generation or maybe their third-generation apps, so they're really starting to take advantage of the medium.
Well, especially if they're trying to sell you stuff, and it's going to cost you some money. It's like they've really started experimenting with all the different kind of views you could possibly ever want. And it's like, you want a bird's eye view of a bunch of jeans? We'll do that for you. Whatever you want.
Look at that. Look at that. Isn't that amazing?
Yeah.
Wow.
Wow.
Bell bottoms are back.
They are. And so are skinny turquoise pants.
Ooh, not good.
Oh, God, I don't look good in skinny things. They just make me look shorter.
Honey, no one looks good in skinny jeans.
Some girls do.
Actually, Conan.
Some guys do.
Conan looked pretty good in skinny
Well, you got to be tall and skinny.
Oh, maybe that's
Those
it.
jerks. So anyway, that's my app. That's my app cap. It's Anthropology. Revel Touch is a company that put it together. I really like it. Well done.
Do they make skinny jeans in my size? Because I will wear them next week if they make them.
I've seen just about people of all shapes and sizes in skinny jeans.
Do they stretch?
They can.
Because
yes,
otherwise,
often
you know,
they do.
you couldn't, you know, I mean, my legs are so sculpted that you would have to actually have them form fit around the fat.
I have the same problem.
I'm liking, by the way, this News 360, whoever said this in the chat room, this looks
You're into it?
Amazing.
Is that what you were doing when I was showing off my Anthropology app?
I'm not into shopping.
Well, that's not true. Look at you.
Look at me.
You're obviously a
fashion
shopaholic.
I obviously am.
Okay, let's move on to your app.
You know what I like so much better than shopping?
What?
Making collages.
Why do you say it like that? Collages?
Collage? Is it collage?
Collage.
Making a collage.
Collage. You know what I like making? Some collages.
Collages.
Okay, well, what does that mean?
Gina Trapani told me about this. She had in-laws visiting during the Thanksgiving holidays, and she had to shelter in place in her bedroom because they were driving her crazy. She said, I just went in my bedroom and I played with Mixel the whole time. So Mixel is, actually, I know you know about this because you have somebody in your life who loves to make collages.
Yeah, MG makes the stupidest collages ever on Mixel or Mixel.
So,
and I don't quite get it, so please enlighten me.
The idea of Mixel is that you can make collages of photo elements and share them on Facebook and other places. But what's really interesting is shared Mixels can be further edited. They can be mashed and mixed.
So it's like you can take a meme and make it mash it up with another meme.
So this is a Gina Trapani, because I'm following her on Twitter. So I could take this and actually, it's now going to download the Mixel, and the elements that are in the Mixel I can now use in my own Mixels, or I can take hers and add other elements to it. So you can see she's done 23 Mixels, and everything in the Mixel, you see. So she's taken images and then superimposed letters. So this actually, you know what? This is quite nice. She's done some interesting stuff with this, right?
Okay.
So now I can view how people have used it. It's been used in 37 other Mixels.
That's sort of the point of it, is it gets social because people take elements. And that's actually something that you have to remember is anything you upload to it, you're saying you can remix this in any way possible, even if it's a picture of yourself.
That's right. You're sharing it. And they do warn you when you start to share elements that this is going to be everybody. So this is now all of the elements in that image that I can then move around and remix and so forth. The reason I brought it up, besides the fact that Gina mentioned it and that MG has done so many fine elements, is perhaps you've seen Pepper Spray Guy everywhere.
Yes.
Well, as it turns out, he is available as a Mixel, and Neil Dash has made him available as a Mixel. So you can take Pepper Spray Guy and add him to any image. And this is, in a way, facilitating people who are doing these kinds of fun mashups to make their own. So you can go out, you can get a Neil Dash, if you follow him, I'm sure others have done it as well, have taken the UC Davis campus police officer who sprayed the protesters with pepper spray. This image you've seen everywhere, spraying everybody from Yoda to God.
Yeah.
Here he's spraying me on a blue rubber ball.
Oh, isn't that nice?
And so now I've shared that on my Facebook page, so people who are following me on Facebook have already seen that, and then they can comment on it, they can remix it, they can do other things. You can see there's quite a few people, but I have to say I was really shocked to see all of the Mixels that MG Siegler has made.
He makes the stupidest things. It's like, what is that? Why?
Kenny Rogers, Dolly Parton, with Muppets in there.
But he sits on the couch cackling. I mean, he thinks he's so funny.
He's amusing himself. And look he's not alone. He's got he's got 1 love and 1 like. He's got 3 likes on that one. So it's social collaging? Social collaging?
Yes. Why are you acting like you don't know this word? It's a really common word. Collage.
Well, now he's done. He also is very manly. So he does some manly.
Look at that. That is. I just don't. I understand that Mixel has some creative elements. And some
like
people
it.
put a lot of effort into
There's some really
their
neat.
collages.
There's some wonderful ones,
And I
there's
guess
some really
for
bad
making
ones.
a meme, furthering a meme, this is a very easy tool to do that. But
Right.
there are just some bad ones too.
This is interesting. This is
Maybe they're
how,
all MGs.
how the Earth stood still, the day the Earth stood still. Robbie the Robot and the Moon and JFK. You know, I mean, and you could use this in your own. In your own pieces. You know, I don't know what the rights issues are on this. We could look at some of the more popular ones from other people. Here's one. Here's Abbey Road, the famous Beatles, but it looks like they've done something odd to it.
Are they actual Beatles?
There's Beatles in there somewhere. He's playing with it, you see?
Yeah. You see a bunch of different, there's Chewbacca, and yeah, it's cool.
yeah.
I mean, I some of these are cooler because, I don't know, it's just
Here's
sort
a
of thing
Neil
that I would see
Dash's
on Tumblr.
mix kit. So you have Occupy Wall Street, you have Officer Pike, you have so you can George Washington. Some of these are funny. You know, I support anything that encourages creativity. This certainly does that. Some of this stuff is weird, but I think it's just what I find interesting is it's social art,
Yeah.
which I think is kind of a new idea. You start a new Mixel by pressing the plus sign. You can reuse existing images. You could take images from other people. So this is popular on Mixel. These are photos from my iPad. So I could take you, for instance, and add you to a Mixel. So let's use this in my Mixel. Now, again, by doing this, I am now making this
You're saying
public.
it's okay for other people to use this
Right.
image and mash it up in other ways.
Now, I like it that your hand is there, so I think we're going to have you hold something. I could take from my Facebook photos, or even do a full web image search. So let's see, spray paint, and we'll see if we can get you spraying somebody here. Oh, I like that. I'm going to use that for sure. We'll use that, and then maybe I'll. You can see how it starts to get fun.
Yeah.
You know, there's.
Oh boy, am I having fun. This is a great use of time.
You see how easy it is?
Yeah, no,
Now,
I get it.
It would be
I
nice
get
if you know, there's some things like you have to kind of crop around to make it transparent and stuff like that.
You could have the image of me be on the top.
I can flip it. I can send it to the back, and then you're on top. You know, we'll play with this a little bit more.
Well, this is a really nice one, Leo. You should be proud.
I'll send that to,
Really
to
nice.
the back.
Yeah, it's beautiful.
Yeah, isn't that nice?
Really good stuff. It's like I'm Banksy, and you did that in
you
what,
are
30
Banksy.
seconds?
You see how fast I did that?
So that's Mixel. It's free. It's fun.
It's a
Fun.
It's a toy.
It's fun.
It's a little.
If you put together a really neat creation, a collage, as Leo says on
Collage.
Mixel, you should send them to us, and then we can
I've
feature
always said
something that's really
collage.
good. Well, maybe I'm wrong.
No, you're right. It's collage.
All right.
I've just always said it wrong.
Well, with that, we're at the end of our hour.
I'm just going to give credit
to
Lieutenant Mark Morgan.
Thank you, Lieutenant Mark Morgan.
He is. This is his hat.
Well, that's so nice. Are we just borrowing it?
He's a ham and a radio operator
that's great.
in the U.S. Navy. And,
I love it.
He brought me that hat, so
It's a good-looking
It's
hat.
actually good for you because it's my hat size, but it fits your head, which is bizarre.
And it's actually kind of snug.
It's a little snug. Yeah,
It's snug. So
he
it's
says
definitely not
Navy
gonna fit
hat
your
sizes are a little smaller than usual.
Oh, interesting. With that, thank you, Lieutenant. That's it for this episode of iPad Today. Anybody watching the live feed knows that this is being recorded at a weird time. We will have an additional show at the regular time on Thursday.
Gardner in the chat room says, "When is this? When the Mixel gets fun?" No, never,
Yeah.
it never really gets fun.
Depends on who you are. Depends on who you are. So 2 episodes this week for anybody who was watching the live stream. But otherwise, this show will go live on Thursday. Thursday's show will go live next Thursday. And if you don't want to think about that, then just subscribe. You don't have to think about it. With that,
That's it. Use your RSS. May the RSS be with you.
and be good.
Thanks for joining us. We'll see you next time
On iPad Today.
Oh.